Your body knows how to be healthy. I'm your host, Martha Blessing, and this is the Place to Be Free podcast, a show that is passionately devoted to illuminating the potential within you to transform your health and life. We're shaking up and breaking up old paradigms so you can free up your mind and body, elevate your consciousness, and create profound well-being and a ridiculously happy and healthy life. On this show, we defy the norms and embrace a journey toward profound well-being and creating true freedom. We challenge patriarchal medicine, question fear-based culture, and dive deep into topics like quantum healing, energy medicine, mental science, consciousness, and universal spiritual laws. Whether you're here for solo explorations or the insightful interviews with individuals who've conquered fear and disease and broken through limitations, you're in for a transformative experience. If you're seeking empowerment, if you're ready for a life-changing shift, you're in the right place. Welcome to the podcast. Hi, I'm Martha Blessing, and welcome to this episode of the Place to Be Free podcast. I'm excited about this. I'm talking today about fear, how to get out of fear, and this is a topic that I encounter every single day with clients. I'm actually answering a question that was sent in by a former client, and it's not uncommon after people have worked with me. They get to a certain point, they get to a certain place, and they have success. And their symptoms might go from, say, a 9 or a 10, down to a 3 or a 4. And they are well on their way to healing. But then when they stop with me, they lose a little bit of their inspiration. There can be a tendency to fall back into old patterns, old beliefs, and they go into fear, right? They go into, oh no, what happens if this pain is coming back, or whatever this symptom? It doesn't have to be pain. It could be anxiety. It could be a rash. It could be digestion starts to feel off kilter again. What do? It is our nature to go into fear, especially when, like I've talked about this numerous times on the podcast, right? I was in daily chronic pain for 10 years. I had 3 back surgeries. And I understand the fear. I understand what it's like to make progress and then maybe have a little bit of a setback. That does not mean that you're going to fall back to the place where you were. However, as humans, we have a tendency to focus on the past. We have a tendency to allow our mind and our brain to draw upon our circumstances and our previous experiences. And so it's very, very important to recognize what's really going on and to ask this question, what is the truth about this, right? What is the truth about this is one of the most powerful questions, because you will unnerve that programming. You will throw a monkey wrench, so to speak, into the mind and the mindset and the train of thought when you ask that question. Versus, let me go into the old pattern of fear and then start to spiral. So, and I remember those days very well. I remember between like surgery 1 and 2 and surgery 3 and 4, I was afraid to go in the grocery stores because I looked fine, right? I looked healthy. I was walking normal again after having serious nerve damage and no reflexes in my left leg. And so I looked fine, right? I'm going through the grocery store, and I kind of would use the shopping cart, right? To, like a cane, like a crutch, to hold myself steady walking. But from the outside, it did not look like there was anything wrong with me. You would not have ever known. And I was afraid that somebody would run into me from behind because they didn't know. I was afraid that they'd knock into my back and my surgical site, or my foot or my heel or something, where they would hit me and I would have this re-injury again. And so I understand the fear very well. It's our nature, and we're programmed. You've heard me say this multiple times on the podcast. We are programmed with fear and illness, and to believe in that instead of our body's ability to heal. So this former client sent me an email, and she said she was going into fear. And she asked, what podcasts did I recommend that she listen to out of my podcasts that would help her move away from the fear, to move away from the energy and the frequency of the fear. And I want to share with you what's wrong about that mindset, what's wrong about that line of thinking. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'm always saying this. I have no judgment, but I teach from experience. So I want to help you understand exactly why this line of thinking, it seems very normal. It seems completely normal for someone to reach out to me and say, hey, how do I get out of fear? How do I reprogram the fear? Because I teach the reprogramming, right? But there's a subtle difference, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to tell you what it is now, because this is very important. Very, very critically important. It goes back to law of cause and effect. It goes back to laws of polarity. It goes to all of the laws, right? However, what we focus on expands. If she's in fear, chances are she's going to put her attention and her energy more on the removal of the fear than she is on what it is she really truly wants. Okay, that's the beginning of this subtle difference. Her mind is focused on remove the fear. But what she really needs to focus on, what's the opposite, okay? Fear is what she doesn't want. She's in fear over her symptoms. The fear is what she doesn't want. So what would be the opposite of that? What is something that she would want to actually bring into her life? Right? What she really wants is faith, trust, health, a belief, right? I would say faith in God, faith in God in her as spiritual substance. That's what we are, spiritual substance. We are energy. And so what she's really searching for is to have a pattern of recognition for her body and her cells and her subconscious to focus on what it is she desires rather than the belief in what her previous circumstances and situation have been. Right? So the shift is, don't try to remove and reprogram the fear, but instead create a new pattern for faith and trust, and for the body being a container of energy, a vessel of spirit, of spiritual substance that is what we call God, source, and that it is malleable, right? Like I call it, like, think of it as silly putty, right? Remember, some will remember this. As a kid, you could take silly putty and you could roll it out, lay it flat like on a cartoon, and you could print on that silly putty. So what is it you want to print? Your spiritual self, your body, the energy is intelligent substance. It's thinking substance, right? Your heart beats. You don't have to tell it to beat. It happens while you're sleeping. So does your breath continue while you're sleeping. That's intelligent substance. You have absolutely no control. It does it on its own. That same intelligent substance is what creates health and well-being. It is the creation of health and well-being. So put into it, into that silly putty, what it is you want. Don't worry about removing the fear. That's a low frequency. That's a low vibration. The more proper way to view this is, what is it I do want? Faith, health, love, trust, those are higher frequencies. Put those in and they will cancel out the lower frequency. And at the same time, they give your subconscious a new pattern of recognition. So instead of going into, oh, I'm in fear, and your mind going down this horrible rabbit hole, right? Start programming, I expect the best. Everything's going my way. I expect the best. Everything's going my way. You're going to be in pain either way. I've said this multiple times, right? Like, if you're going to be in pain, it doesn't matter. Be in pain. But that doesn't mean that when you're in pain, you can't, you can just sit and do nothing and be in pain, or you can reprogram and be in pain. Either way, you're in pain. So the reprogramming is going to shift you out of that, right? The reprogram is going to shift you out of it. So you've got to be able to ask, what is the truth about this, and make this distinction and start to be moving towards what it is you do desire. Now, she, as I said, she was a former client. She'd worked with me, so she knows from working with me how to do the subconscious reprogramming. She knows how to change her frequency. She knows how to create a new pattern. When we go to fear, we are only going to a pattern of recognition from our past. That's what we're doing. When you really break this down and think about it, when we go into fear, we're thinking about something either that is a situation that happened in the past, and we believe in our core that it's going to repeat itself. What you focus on expands, so if you think that long enough, it will. But we're either thinking about that, or we're focused on something in the future that hasn't even happened yet, and we're attaching the memory of how it went before. This is honestly the most challenging part of my work, is that people show up and they want to work with me. It's never about the money. It's about the fear and the fact that they tried in the past, and they believe and they think and they focus on and think about how it hasn't worked previously. And so they're not willing, or they're scared in their belief to try again. They take it personally, right? They think that there is something wrong with them, why they can't heal. And so they talk themselves out of it before they even start. not knowing everything that I'm going to teach them that I did that reversed 10 years of daily chronic pain, reversed the cancer, reversed all these things, right? So when it comes to fear, what is the truth about this? You've got to slow it down, break it down, ask different questions. Most people are thinking, oh my God, what if this doesn't change? Or what if this gets worse? They're not believing or asking questions about the possibility. They're not asking, what's causing this? And how do I create what it is I desire? Those are the questions that need to be asked. So I wanted to share that with you in regards to fear. And, probably one of the best books that I can recommend to people is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and understanding that this fear that you're dealing with and living with is a program. It's just that. It's just a program. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy is a great place to start when you want to learn and understand reprogramming your subconscious. Your subconscious, the seat of your subconscious is in the high heart. And people think that it's like part of our mind because it's subconscious mind, but it's actually, the subconscious is our higher self. And that program, you've heard me say many, many times, is already established when we're children, and our beliefs and our fears. So she's focused on, again, prior experiences that got programmed into her, prior failures, a belief that what if this happens? What if that happens, right? Our free will, God gave us free will. Our free will is our ability to choose what it is we're going to think. It's very, very powerful. Free will is our ability to choose what we are going to think. And so start turning the attention on thinking about faith, thinking about visualizing the end result, not focusing on failure and what had happened previously, right? If I had done that, 3 back surgeries, right? 3 back surgeries. I had stacks and stacks and piles of files and papers from, because I got, hurt working as a nurse. I was in the workers' comp system, right? I wasn't a nurse yet. I was a nurse's aide, right? But I get it. My mind for years went back to that place of what if, because I got wrapped up in that entire system of physical therapy. And, like they wouldn't allow me to go here or do this or get the medical care that I wanted. Everything had to be pre-approved. Like I was in complete victim mode. I was victim to my previous employer, victim to workers' comp. I was even victim to the attorneys, right? Because I didn't know what I didn't know. And they didn't serve me. They didn't show up for me like they were supposed to. So there were so many things that I learned in those lessons. Fast forward, then the second surgery, I was like, oh my God, I could end up here again. And I kept focusing on that, which was part of what kept me in pain. I didn't know any of these things back then. And when I finally did heal after the 3rd surgery, that was when I started to ask the different questions. And I understood, right? Like I had healed, but I didn't know why. I hadn't truly understood. I didn't know the mechanism. I had success, but I didn't know what had created it. That's why I had to continue to pull back the layers and ask more questions. And there was a tremendous amount of fear that was in my body at the time. And so I understand where she's coming from, because when you're in that place, it's hard to imagine that it's going to change. And it's miraculous, right? Like this works because most people, 3 back surgeries, being in a wheelchair, all of those things, the fibromyalgia, most people don't completely heal from that. Like, even if they heal, there's still like scar tissue, things like that. I never have back problems. I never have back problems after all of that. Like, I can run, I can work out, I can do anything. I never have pain. Okay, maybe if I spend the day gardening or something, but I don't ever have consistent pain, right? I don't ever have chronic back pain or nerve damage and pain. So it is completely healed. And I'm no different. Like, it doesn't matter what the diagnosis is. It doesn't matter, whether it's back pain or cancer or fibromyalgia or asthma, autoimmune, like whatever it is, diagnosis doesn't matter. Diagnoses are just so that doctors, insurance companies, and pharmaceuticals can make money off of you. Getting a diagnosis has nothing to do with your healing or your plan of care. It's understanding what the core cause is underneath all of that. And it's all just about a frequency. It's all, your health is already here. Your healthy body is already here. The question is, what has gotten in the way? What within your beliefs, in your experience, in your mental, emotional, and spiritual makeup has gotten in the way of you living animated and embodied as your true self, your healthy self? And it could be that it's fear. It could be that it's fear. More than likely it's fear. And you can break that down even further. That's a lot of what we do I do with clients in our work together, is breaking it down. Right? So, I hope this is helpful. Look for the opposite of what fear is for you. And start programming and believing in that. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Place to Be Free podcast. If you found inspiration in our discussions on empowered living, mindset, and spiritual laws and healing, don't forget to subscribe and share the wisdom with your community. Connect with me on social media, and for exclusive content, free resources, and to stay updated on upcoming episodes, visit the website at marthablessing.com/free stuff. Until next time, remember, you're the author of your story. Keep breaking through barriers, defy old worn-out beliefs and patterns, and create a life without limitation. I'll see you in the next episode.